All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Paranoia Agent, episode 3.
And the last episode was just a bit amazing.
Yeah, a bit perfect, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And the thing is that they've kept the whole deal with the Shonen Bat ambiguous. Still.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
it's incredible that they're managing to do that, even though we are very definitely... certain in certain aspects of our theories,
right?
Because we are very, very much on the line of thinking that there's a non-literal explanation for, what's going on here,
right?
Because of how much things conveniently fit into kind of the imaginative, collective unconscious of society, and therefore Paranoia Agent. The title.
Right, exactly. But oh boy, I feel like we don't really have that much of a tie-in with each episode to what the next episode will be, because it's like, okay, so Ushi got attacked, right? And probably by Ichi, but in this case it's like, okay, so what are they going to do next? Unless Ushi being attacked gives them some new information maybe about what's going on, but barring that, I don't know. I don't know.
My favorite part from the last episode was when Tsukiko was talking to her little stuffed animal thing, and she's like, no, don't think about it. Everything is Shonen Bat's fault. That was a, so maybe everyone else is doing their things themselves, but Tsukiko's was the one that she imagined
started it all.
Started up the paranoia. So,
I gotta say, though, my favorite part from the previous episode was Ichi's getting bullied.
Yeah.
That was rough. Yeah.
So, episode 3, y'all. Let's see how the pattern continues or differentiates itself. Without further ado, let's get into it.
She's probably drawing. Oh no.
Okay.
She doesn't look very entertained.
Wow. Yeah, I thought so. Call girl of some kind, Because this guy just was, not interested in her at all. Oh. Whoa. Oh.
Whoa,
yeah.
That's his, is that Ichi's?
Wait, is that the teacher?
That was his freaking, yeah.
Yeah, whoa.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Wow. His tutor, that's the word.
The tutor, thank you. Yes. Wait, does she have actually a split personality disorder? So she leaves messages for herself? Because that could have been her talking to herself in the background there. I think that...
Potentially.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
お茶入れてもらえませんか。
自分がどこにいるのかすらわからなくなる。私は誰？本当の私。
Yeah.
忘れて地味な女を演じてるあなたとは大違い。私は自分自身を楽しんでるの。
Oh, and look at that, the little character underneath the thing there.
Whoa.
今マリアと話しました。
Dang.
マリアは少しずつ消えていく自分の存在を感じているそうです。でも消えることに対して恐怖は感じていない。
Whoa, so was she under hypnosis just now?
I guess.
Wow.
課題研究指導の予定表です。
僕と結婚してくれますか。
What?
That came out of the blue.
What?
メッセージを消去しました。
Whoa.
Okay.
Trying to separate now.
もう知ってるの？
その体ともお別れか。
お父さん。
You're making me cry.
So she's like, I did it. I'm free.
I guess.
She goes to the shower and she's all like,
Yeah.
I don't have to. I don't have to be, held back by Maria or something.
Now, given how this show's gone so far, I would expect that since she's
casting off the old.
Well, that she's getting the focus for this episode, that she will at least get attacked or be involved somehow in an attack by Shonen Bat. But she seems to be resolving everything right here.
Yeah, I know.
So, what's up? Oh, or is it the guy?
Did she say yes?
I think so.
Wow.
Now the question is...
Oh, wow. How do they get her regular number?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh,
well, there we go.
That's freaky. That's freaky.
Well, now we know, I guess. Oh, so no, this is her trying to suppress her other self. But that's why she said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, a lot more messages now.
Yeah.
Yep, an angry one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and it's such a shrill little ringtone. Just
Yep.
Wow.
Damn.
Nice.
もしもし式は行わずにお写真だけ
格式ばったことはどうもでも記念は記念ですから
Oh, wow.
最近は多いんですよそういう方
Aww.
じゃあそれでお願いします
He seems like just a regular guy, you know? Just
もうお二人で住まわれてるんですの
it's a little
No.
It's a little personal.
Yeah, that's a good point. She won't be able to keep this from him.
Exactly.
いろいろとお忙しくってよろしいですよ
Oh, and she's gonna be the different person.
じゃじゃーん
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, that transition was perfect.
素晴らしい
Wow.
先生のところへおいで
自分だけ逃げようとしたって無理逃がさないんだから
Wow.
しっかりして目を覚ましてマリアなんていない結婚するのよバカじゃないの
お店で買ったんだ
Oh, no.
わあ素敵ありがとう
Oh, boy.
It's all the kind of the
Yeah.
prim and proper
こん
kind
な
of
ことだ
stuff
ったら
getting.
ちゃんと式挙げてもよかったですね
ご結婚おめでとうございます。
いえ入籍はまだなんです
Oh, okay.
ところで相手の方はこの病気のことを
やはり説明しないといけないでしょうか
すのでしたら
Yeah.
隠し続けるのは困難だと思いますよ。それにこの病気の治療には相手の方の協力が必要不可欠です
Yeah.
そう
Definitely.
はしておいてください。
Wait.
Oh, and this
だ
is...
なゆういちくん
Yeah.
どこ
Oh.
か痛いの
先生の方がお医者さんが必要みたいだ。
Whoa. What did you say? No, just these are just effects. They're not the
Right.
cause. They're not the
Their symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. They're literally effects, and
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, man.
No, you could just revert right here, and it would not change anything.
Well, and even if she does go back home...
Oh, that's. Oh, birds, y'all. Like,
Yep.
as far as like weird fears a lot of people have, birds is one that it's not that weird.
はーい
Oh, that's it.
今すぐ行きます
Wow.
マリアって誰なんですか
失礼します
Oh,
Crap.
dang.
Yeah.
お客さん
Wow.
前にも載せませんでしたっけ
Yes, but not as herself.
い
Yeah.
やなんか見覚えがあるんだけどな
Oh, boy.
Oh, this is intense.
man.
Wow.
Oh man.
Just her whole life falling apart. Yeah.
You gotta make peace with it somehow.
Yep. Oh.
蝶野先生
Wow.
蝶野先生
前よりも大人っぽくなったみたい。
だって証明されたから少年バットが解放してくれたんです。
Shonen Bat set me free.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Shonen Bat can solve all my problems. I'm gonna make a wish right now.
わかるでしょ。解放されたいの。私。
Wow. Oh.
もしもし。
私早く認めちゃいなさい。
Oh, wow. Yeah, she's lost it.
Yep. Man.
起きなさいよ。もうやめて。
少年バットが解放してくれたんです。
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh.
That's
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, nice. The old guy? Yeah, yeah.
おじいちゃん、ダメよ。
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, this is good.
はるちゃん
Oh,
犯人
really?
が捕まったみたいですよ。
自分は
Whoa.
早くしないとまた遅刻しちゃうよ。
Whoa. So she doesn't want to.
よかったね。
She doesn't want to have conflicting information with her image
Right.
of Shonen Bat. So, whoa. Okay.
Okay,
that was intense, y'all.
That was
Wow.
so. It's weird. I feel like each episode tops the last one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the last one before this was slightly better because it is a little bit more ambitious, maybe.
Or maybe just because it was more grounded.
Sorry. Yeah, maybe because it had actual like characters involved with it. And
well, right. Well,
this one was a character study of what happens when a schizophrenic starts to lose their grip on either personality.
The previous episode was more relatable in that the situation was something that is easier for the average person to understand because you have an asshole that gets bullied, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then you have the kid that used to be bullied that's still trying to help the asshole, right?
Yeah, and then you start to empathize a little bit with the asshole because he's being victimized.
Yeah. And then in the case here, the call girl that doubles as a school teacher that has schizophrenia.
The school teacher that doubles as
as
that's
girl,
cool.
Right. Oh
Wow.
But like that's a lot more specific, you know, and it's much less likely for people to have maybe personal experience with that.
No.
Whereas like
that's the good boy cop.
Yeah, that's the good boy cop. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What do we got from our old guy here?
This is the cop, I guess.
Yeah, but this was the guy also that. But that guy was also the guy that was like, "Hey, give me your number. I don't want this to be the last time. Are you getting married?" Yeah, he was one of her clients.
Oh.
Let's confirm. Is that Kawazu? Well done, Paranoia.
Okay.
Well done.
All right.
That was a good episode.
It was. It really was.
I just felt like the whole episode, I was just kind of mouth hanging open. Just
the whole idea of the paranoia, because we've had paranoia in every episode up till now, right?
Yeah.
You know, with in some way, shape, or form with the character, right?
Yes.
But here, it felt much more, I don't know, it felt much scarier. Because
it did feel a lot
for the
scarier,
first episode, it was something where it's like, I was sympathetic to the person, right? Like, that's a lot of pressure, right? That sucks, right? But it didn't so much feel scary as just hard, right?
Yeah, it felt more like disturbing in that this was how fast the school society destabilized, you know.
Oh, I was talking about the first episode.
Oh, the first episode.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And then with the second episode, it was something where the paranoia didn't seem like as much of a problem, because when it was something where Ichi felt like his mind was turning against him,
Yuichi.
Well, yeah,
Ichi. You're right.
His
nickname.
Yeah. It was something that felt almost like a bit disconnected somehow from how things were at school. You know, like when he was alone in his room versus when he was at school. Because when he was in his, you know, then he was just in his head, and he's imagining, you know, he's imagining what people are thinking, and you know, and whatnot. But this is something where the person's mind was actually fully against them, like in a much realer way than with the other characters. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's really terrifying.
Like, if you can't trust yourself, what can you trust? Right?
Yeah, I don't know the statistics on how many people are actually diagnosed schizophrenics, but it's not a number that fits on two hands. You know, there's a lot of people out there that experience something like this, and
definitely.
And my point is that like, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy.
Right.
That is a horrifying prospect to have, even just the idea of you needing to communicate through voicemail messages and, you know, having two separate identities for how you live your life, and the fear that not just that one is interacting with you and you don't know what it's doing all the time, but that one is aggressively accosting you in your current self.
And then, like, not at war with yourself, like you're divided, or you know, you can't make a decision,
like,
or whatever.
I can't decide between cherry pie or ice cream.
Right.
It's like, that's...
and maybe something more complex than that even.
Right.
But this was, they were actually going to war against each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and no one was winning.
No one was winning.
winning. Yeah.
And that's
some scary stuff.
Boy.
I think it's almost entirely now established what the pattern of this show is.
Yeah.
The main thing that they're doing is they're showcasing how the paranoia spreads.
Right.
And then the other thing is that they're drawing a direct connection from Tsukiko all the way along each character line here, especially with what they're hinting at coming up in the next episode.
Oh yeah, with the police officer.
Yeah. So
right.
So what we have with what was her name? Because there was Maria, but then there was Harumi. Thank you. Yes. What we had with Harumi was that she was the tutor,
right,
of Ichi's.
Yeah.
Then Ichi gets attacked, and maybe he presents the idea of Shonen Bat.
Well, right, because he talked about it. He mentioned it to her.
Yeah.
Right.
And Maria basically like had it passed along.
Right. In the case of Ichi, previous episode, that was something where there was probably the biggest gap, you know?
Yes.
In that, okay,
he just heard about it through the news.
He heard about it through the news, and then and because, you know, assuming that we're right in our theory that Tsukiko made up Shonen Bat, right?
Yeah.
Then because he gets accused of being Shonen Bat, then there we go. That's the connection to Shonen Bat.
Right.
And how it can all help and whatnot.
And there should be a bigger divide between the two of them if Tsukiko made up Shonen Bat, because then we need a story to germinate that's a little bit more real and visceral.
Right, because the first time, that's where there's really the issue, I feel like. And then after that, then if it ever ends up happening again, it's because people
assume
people assume it's actually real, right? Yeah. You know, and whatnot. And then if anything, maybe the coincidences are with the fact that there are this many people prone to this level of mental instability that are connected. Now that could be commentary on how it's a lot more likely, right? and that given the right circumstances, given the right pushes and stuff, all it takes is one bad day, kind of a thing.
Yep.
That can happen.
Agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it is definitely a commentary type of show about how mental illnesses and basically fear and all these negative things that we all live with and deal with are things that we shouldn't be so frivolous about. We shouldn't take with such a light thing. We should be a little bit more, we should be a little bit more respectful, a little bit more serious, if you will, about it. Because if something like this sweeps through the media and, people get caught up in a frenzy, things can happen to where it goes beyond just a,
who's to say what's real anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in some ways, I don't think that the show is going to go into the absurd, but I still can't forget the fact that they chose to have a nuke blast going off in the OP with someone like cheering it on.
Well, the thing is, okay, so Satoshi Kon, his style, right? It's all about the human psyche and sort of the weird things that happen there for both the positive and the negative, right? Yeah. In what was it? Paprika. Yeah. There was the whole thing of the people going around and taking swan dives off of buildings with their suits and everything. Right. And
crowd.
Yeah. Exactly. And the idea that in that case it's something of commentary on how we go about our daily lives and basically put a smile on our face even when things are very much not okay, or we put up with a lot of stuff, right?
Like Harumi here,
right? In the case of Harumi,
she was sleepwalking essentially,
right? She was sleepwalking, right? And that's the way that she puts up with it. That's the way that she basically
That's good insight.
Like the fact that we get this right alongside of Monogatari, like it's ironic, but that's a very real thing that can end up happening, right? And in this case, because then there is this figure of the shonen bat, right, as this force out there, right? Then if you need a reset, if you wished that all of basically your problems would go away because you would be presented with a bigger problem, right? That would just be for that one instant you get attacked, right? And then suddenly maybe that puts everything in perspective.
Or it's not that you got a bigger problem, but that suddenly everyone looks at you as a victim. Now, this is something that might not be as might not take this as literally as I'm going with this, but the idea that when Tsukiko was attacked, because this is the thing I think thematically with regards to the patterns of the human psyche, you can draw the line through. Even though Tsukiko's might have been fake, everyone else's is real. They served the same purpose, and that was that Tsukiko had the deadline of needing to create the character, right? Her mind potentially wandered to the combination of all these things she had seen that day and coalesces into Shonen Bat, which is basically just the old woman bumping into her and making her knock her head. Well,
or her tripping or whatever.
Or her tripping or what have you, but I'm gonna sneeze.
So what I think are you saying that it's basically like in Inside Out with Sadness almost, where it's like getting people to help?
Yes, it's basically the human psyche going, I am not in a good way, but I don't know how to express said help, so I'm going to turn myself into a victim, which will force society to help me. And that's something that I think is the positive negative of this whole story's maybe message, if you will, is that it's not a bad thing to let other people know you need help.
Absolutely.
And in the same way that the label victim is thrown around like way too often, when you're dealing with a mental health crisis like this, like crisis. Harumi was like this, she is a victim. She doesn't need to basically like find another form of, a more societally acceptable form of a victim in order to get help. She had the counselor, the guy that she was talking with. The main thing that was basically holding her back, I think, was communication with some people that were close to her. Like, she didn't have any friends. Like, if you looked through her life, she just droned on by. It was the guy who, basically just would stop to ask her for tea or something like that just said, hey, marry me. And she just goes, yes, because I think he's the only person in her life, really, that she had any, somewhat of a connection with.
And it could be that this is that was exactly the sum total of their relationship, you know, because
there could have been stuff off
or it could be there was other
know.
stuff because
That's
it's
true.
one episode and they need to just cut to the chase, right?
That's true.
But the idea is she's human.
Yes.
Right? And humans aren't always okay. In fact, most of the time they're not okay.
Most of the time they're not. Yep.
But I mean, perfect's boring. So, you know,
it's also dishonest most of the time.
Right, but even if it was honest, like that's pretty static, you know, place to be.
Well, like even another way of looking at it is that like they're also just lying. Like the whole idea of perfect meaning flawless.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have a really great like life setup and something like that, but I would say almost unfortunately the fact due to how prone to self-criticism we are, everyone knows they're not perfect. Even, you know, Kanye West calling himself a god or whatever. Like, he knows he's not perfect inside like that, you know?
And it's the idea of what this seems to be, from what we've seen so far, is that it's cases where the pressures that are put upon somebody cause them to crack.
Yep.
Right? And in this episode, it's almost Shonen Bat showing up feels like the least likely thing to help. Like, or let me put it another way.
Yeah.
In the other episodes, there was a very clear reason why if Shonen Bat showed up, all the problems go away. Right?
Yeah.
In this one, not as much. And I'm not sure if this is just like as a temporary thing or if it's supposed to be like a long-term solution, right? Because in the case of Tsukiko, it could be something where, okay, now she has Shonen Bat and you know, she does a character or whatever, even though then that might not work because then she doesn't own it because she didn't create it, right? But and then in the case of Ichi, everyone's calling him Shonen Bat. He gets attacked by Shonen Bat, therefore he can't be Shonen Bat. Right. Cool. In her case, it seems more like it was something where because she was so at war with herself, she just needed a stop.
She needed a hard stop. Yes.
She needed a hard stop to things because it was going too crazy, too fast, and she felt like she was out of control, right? And she was, right?
Yeah. I think hers was more along the lines of I want to die. But that's not even what Shonen Bat necessarily, you know.
Right, because she
is or does. So
yeah, it's that she doesn't I mean, it could be there was a part of her that wanted to die, but that more importantly, she just wanted this to end.
Yeah.
Right. However, that would end up happening.
Right.
And in this way, she gets a bit of respite. And maybe it's that by this happening, this will cause her to not get calls from work, right? You know, because she's been attacked, right? She's in the hospital. There's that time where she needs to recover, right?
Right. It's a temporary fix then.
Right. It's at least a temporary fix.
Sure.
And maybe that's the leg up she needs in order to be able to come to terms with everything, right?
Right. So she'll probably try and stick to that hospital as long as she can.
Yep. And probably have her therapist come in a couple times and, you know, and try and work through all of this.
Oh, that's brilliant. The therapist can come in and basically just tell everyone, you know, this is an example of her schizophrenia taking things out of control, and she doesn't have to do the confrontation, the communication with her, you know, fiance.
Sure. But now that I think about it, there's a very concrete way that this at least temporarily solves the problem.
Yeah, which one?
She won't be moving in with her fiance.
Ah, right.
Not while she's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? And it would have been impossible for her to hide it if they're living in the same house, right? And she hasn't told him, and she, you know, she knows that she needs to tell him, but she doesn't want to tell him because she won't even fully address this problem herself.
Yep.
She's trying to just hide it and stuff it down, right? Pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
So in this case, she is able to pretend it doesn't exist for a little while longer.
Yeah. Tsukiko, you keep getting brought back every episode, and I'm glad the show does that because it's reinforcing the stuff that we're maybe believing to be true. And I loved that the cop, who definitely didn't catch Shonen Bat as far as we know, went up and was like, oh yeah, we caught Shonen Bat. Then the pink little character thing, which is just Tsukiko, remember that?
Yeah.
Turned off the TV right as I was about to reveal it, because if Tsukiko saw, you know, something that conflicted with her internal image of who Shonen Bat was, then
she would realize it.
She would realize her own issues there.
Because the problem is that
it's so good.
Because with all the other characters, right, since they are sure that Shonen Bat is a real person, and everyone else in society is sure that Shonen Bat is a real person, then for all intensive purposes, Shonen Bat is a real person, and he just only strikes when people are in the right frame of mind in order for him to strike, right?
Yep, exactly.
But if Tsukiko ever finds out, then that can actually bring it all tumbling down.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, Shonen Bat's fake. And what would be funny, not funny, but interesting to see how it played out, is if she realizes that Shonen Bat is fake, and then from there, the public becomes aware that Shonen Bat's fake, what about all the people who have been attacked by Shonen Bat? What happens there? Do their problems resurface, right?
Well, that's the thing. How do we know that they weren't actually attacked by Shonen Bat, though?
Well, yeah, but assuming that Shonen Bat is just a figment of the imagination, and in the cases where the stuff happened, it was actually something else, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's the difference between it being a thing where Shonen Bat being a figment of the imagination in origin versus the Shonen Bat being a figment of imagination across all the...
Do you think that Shonen Bat actually became, that...
Someone out there at any point...
Right, from this point in the story. They could decide to do that later on if they wanted to as an experiment thing, but from what we've seen so far, do you think that Shonen Bat is an actual person now? Because I don't at all.
So here's what I think. The stuff with Ichi came really close to being a potential real person.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that we still don't have any outside perspective on that whole situation. Every time when Shonen Bat shows up, there's just one person there, as far as we know.
Right.
So it's probably just each person self-inflicting their own thing, which is Shonen Bat.
And Ichi, I believe, absolutely was of the mental state that after, attacking Ushi, right, he would be like, oh, crap, I attacked Ushi. Wait, crap, clunk, and then there you go.
Yeah. I do think, though, that if they have it be where every single person ends up doing doing it themselves and stuff like that, it misses a golden opportunity to have basically the paranoia of everyone else come into reality. So I'm more of thinking that it's going to happen in the future.
Okay.
So I think that
I get that.
I think that people's fears being all that just smoke and mirrors, it's something that you brought up, by your own paranoia, and it manifested in your reality, but not in everyone else's.
Right. That's the whole idea of paranoia.
That makes perfect sense. If anything, I think you could still do a lot of story with that. I think that the potential larger scale stuff though comes about when you take things to the level where the Shonen Bat thing becomes a like this example. If we have the cop say, hey, we arrested Shonen Bat, and then in the next episode someone is like, I was attacked by Shonen Bat, then they go, wait, we have a problem here because this person confessed to being Shonen Bat.
Right. Well, and then they could go into the the reason okay.
So I think it's going to go that way, but I think you're right. Probably is a 99% chance that you're right, that no one actually
goes around attacking people
currently in the story.
Well, and I don't think anyone. Well, okay. I mean, in a way, everyone, there is always someone going around and attacking people. It just oftentimes is also themselves, right? But actually, putting on the getup and going around and doing that stuff, because the thing
I think we're gonna get copycats. That's where this person got arrested. That's what I think was gonna happen.
The reason the issue that I have with the whole idea of the copycats is that once that they become copycats, it stops being paranoia.
Well, no,
because the whole idea of paranoia is that there's fear, right?
Yeah,
of course, sure.
Yeah.
But when it goes to being paranoia, that's when you're afraid of the things that aren't there.
Para. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if they end up doing the copycats, I feel like that while there would be the commentary potential for the
paranoia created them.
Our paranoia created them.
Yeah.
It then shifts the story.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that you can do a lot of story without going to that. But I think the point of the story in the long term is such that Tsukiko's came purely from her imagination. everyone else's came from Paranoia.
Right.
You see the difference there? And then we have basically what is the sequence of events that leads things to becoming more than Paranoia. Why is it called Paranoia Agent and not just Paranoia? Agency, something that takes a hold of itself and starts accelerating and moving on its own accord. I think the natural progression of things in eventually is having copycats that end up doing things and feeling like they can get away with it. In fact, I think that will be one of the characters in the stories, that they'll have someone who they need to get their fix, their thing that they do that is bad.
Sure.
And they'll assume essentially the moniker of Shonen Bat in order to get off doing whatever the thing is that they do.
Yeah, hitting old ladies or whatever, yeah.
Right, because there's odds are there's someone out there that doesn't have this specific look, but likes to do these random acts of violence kind of thing.
Sure.
And then that will be, in some ways, the clue to the cops or whoever, like Kawazu or something, that this is different. This is something where this has no direct connection to the original events with Tsukiko. This is just the thing taking on a life of its own. So,
one of the things I was thinking about while you were saying that was that Paranoia Agent, right? If you think about those two words put together, there's Paranoia Agent in that this person is an agent of paranoia, right? Okay. And they go about on behalf of paranoia and you know, and basically spreading paranoia. I'm an agent of chaos, right? Right. You know, but then there's, what if it's an agent that is paranoia, which is a different thing, right? You know, and it's,
the paranoia isn't a descriptor of their actions, but of who they are.
Right, of what this entity is. Right. Right.
That fits more in line, I would say, with the imagination
with the Tsukiko theory. Yeah. But that was just something where I was like, oh, that's
it can be used in different ways for sure.
And the thing is that I don't think very many people would go to that understanding of those two words first, right? Which like I feel like fits with the whole idea of this story, you know, is that with the way it's set up, it is a paranoia agent. It is an agent of paranoia, right? You know, rather than an agent that is paranoia itself.
Sure.
But yeah,
I think I hit the nail on the head though with the Tsukiko TV conflicting information. Turn that off quick.
Completely.
It fits very well with the scene in the previous bit where it's like, no, don't think about it. Shonen Bat did all that. You know?
And the question that like, okay, because the thing is that for all these people that have had these encounters with Shonen Bat, right? It's real to them, right? And in many ways it's helped them. Now, if it gets to the point where it is made known that Shonen Bat does not exist, does that make it any less real? And what happens then, right?
That's my point.
Because in the case here, it totally makes sense that with Tsukiko, her psyche would be like, nope, we can't let, you know, the you know, the big boss upstairs, right? Like, know that this is all a hoax, right? Yep. But for the other people, and if Tsukiko even ever found out that it was a hoax, does that change what happened?
No, not necessarily. No, because if anything, there's a lot of stuff with regards to emotion that leads to confirmation bias. Right. So when she gets all this input out there that Shonen Bat is doing all this stuff, the internal part of herself goes, Shonen Bat is dangerous. And it just leads towards that. Right. Now the thing is that Tsukiko is not under any paranoia, because I think subconsciously she's somewhat aware, just a little bit.
Subconsciously aware, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Subconsciously aware that Shonen Bat is a whole bunch of nothing. But I think it would be a very dark twist to have her subconscious start to doubt whether Shonen Bat is fake. Because if enough stuff happens and then starts to have things that add on to it, the idea of this little pink thing talking to you, that's not healthy.
Well,
that's not healthy. Okay. I think it would be a really interesting dark twist to have that thing, you know, start to become a monster in of itself, basically.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. The thing though is that, like, I don't think that, so with the way she's at right now, she's not worrying about designs, right?
No.
She's not worrying about design.
No, she doesn't have to.
Right? She doesn't have to.
Bat saved her.
Now, if Shonen Bat was discovered to be fake, that might cause some backlash on her from like the company or whatever, because they think, you know, whatever, right? Like because of her specifically, that she was the one that basically started this. There could be some backlash from that. But in her specific situation, her predicament, right? I get the feeling that she could potentially, or that there would be the possibility, at least, regardless of how it ends up going for her specifically, that there would be the possibility, the potential for her to still have her problem be solved, because she basically, her brain was able to go through the wirings of how to basically say, I'm not going to worry about this, right? Even if it did it in an unhealthy way, it still achieved the result, right? Okay. And that was something that she didn't know how to do beforehand, right? So if it does end up coming into the light that it is all fake, well,
see, this is the thing. This is the thing again. I think that there's a little bit too much emphasis in your theories coming from the idea that that Shonen Bat has to be revealed as being fake.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Have to. Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter at this point because of how much it's been spread throughout the media. An example of this is when someone releases kind of a statement. And then it gets picked up, and the story then gets
taken on, and all that. Yeah,
it takes on a life of its own, and becomes a bigger thing. Then someone does a deep dive on that statement and goes, actually that statement wasn't actually that thing. It doesn't matter because the masses have already moved on from that story, and they've just accepted in their minds Shonen Bat is real. So if someone came around saying, Shonen Bat is fake, they would go, but I have all this evidence, all this secondhand, third-hand information that says that no, Shonen Bat is real. I don't think it could actually come back to being unraveled by just anyone coming out and saying it was fake. Even if it was Tsukiko because she felt guilty.
Yep. The idea that, like, for like a visual metaphor, at least this is how I think of it, that you could build a structure starting from a certain point, right? And without that point, you would never get the structure, right? That's the foundation that everything was built off of.
Yeah.
Right? But then once it's up here, it's a pretty good structure. Then you just take out that point that started it all. It still stands, right? Point that it starts at is Tsukiko, and everything else is all the stuff that comes around it. Which, it's funny, because this, like, when did the show come out? Like 2003? Right?
I have no idea.
Or somewhere early 2000s, right?
Something like that.
That was then.
Yeah.
How much more so now?
We have social media now.
Does this apply with social media and everything? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
ridiculous. Kind of a genius setting and not setting, I would say premise for a story.
Satoshi Kon was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Like, because
it's pretty crazy though. It's pretty crazy though how little in terms of our characters we know about, like how much of this is a episodic kind of, we focus on this character in depth and then we focus on this character in depth, but once they've been saved we are moving on essentially.
We kind of showcase them in the midst of their conflict, but we don't really know about anything. We don't know much about them before their conflict, and we don't see too much of them after their conflict. Yeah,
I kind of want to make sure I'm keeping track of these characters after they've been shown, because that thing with the cop, I don't even know if that was the cop, but the guy who was one of her sugar daddies, Maria's clients, that was the guy that was showcased at the end of the episode, so coming into this one. So all these characters that are brought into the story have the potential to be getting an episode focused on them. I would say a great example of this, where it's like blatantly obvious they want us to pay attention to this guy, is the old crazy dude with the Einstein haircut and going around, drawing stuff everywhere. It's like, oh, wait, is this another example of a guy who had some kind of mental health issues, then went to the hospital to escape his problems, but
except he actually got hit by a car. So
yeah. Oh, wow. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
He got hit by a car by Kawazu.
Yep.
And Kawazu was introduced before Tsukiko, right? No,
after.
No. Tsukiko was introduced first on the tram. She sees the old guy, but he was already hurt at that point.
Well, right. But we also know that he was actually hit by a car, you know, so that's like that Shonen Bat had nothing to do with that.
Well,
you know,
I want to go out on a limb here.
Okay.
I'm not going to say Shonen Bat had anything to do with this.
Uh-huh.
But I find it interesting that we saw him outside the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It was like by a school grounds area or something like that.
Yeah.
Are we to assume that this guy like escaped the hospital, was just out there, made the connection with her?
Uh-huh.
Now, Tsukiko was the originator potentially of Shonen Bat.
I don't think he was at school grounds. I think he was just in the outside area of the hospital.
Okay. But based on the camera shot, there was nothing describing that we were looking at the hospital because we were looking away from what would be the building that he was next to.
Sure.
But he was in an area where there was concrete next to the bus stop where she was in, and then he was drawing out his equation on the ground.
Right.
She then is, I believe at this point, in the information absorption kind of point there.
Okay.
Because remember the people, the kids with the roller skates came by, the roller blades or what have you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Had he been hit with the car then?
Oh, yeah. Long time ago.
Okay. Because I don't think in the show they've said when he got hit with the car.
They did. Because
what time was it?
Because Kawazu comes into the hospital and he's like, you still haven't paid? He's like, you said you were gonna, like, when's the next payment? He already sued Kawazu, the son of the elderly guy, already sued Kawazu and won the lawsuit.
Okay.
Okay. And that's why Kawazu has to make the restitutions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So then...
So the thing is...
So if
anything,
I'm doubting the guy's injuries maybe a little bit in some ways then. The old guy. Because how is he getting around and doing all this when he's been, put in a wheelchair?
I mean... He's old, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like I get the feeling the wheelchair is because he's old, right? Not because he can't actually move. Like he's really old and his head's not necessarily in the right place.
Right.
A lot of the time he's probably a vegetable. But I feel like if anything, in the case of Kawazu, where there's some connection point to Shonen Bat and all that, is that in the case of Kawazu hitting the old guy with the car, that is exactly the kind of point where Kawazu would have wanted a Shonen Bat, right? And, and here you go. Now the fact that he also got attacked, granted, I'm guessing that was Tsukiko, because she didn't want to be followed by this guy. But it also could have been something where, I don't want to have to be on the line for, like busting my ass to pay this guy's bills, right?
Yeah, but we haven't seen Kawazu since then.
Right.
Like... I want to pay special attention the next time we see Kawazu.
Okay.
I am sensing something weird. But since my grip on certain aspects of the show isn't good, like my memory on certain things isn't perfect, I'm going to hold off on talking about it for now. But yeah, that's it for me.
Great
went
episode.
Off on a weird tangent there. But fantastic episode. Really dark ending there. That Joker makeup point there,
that was
unnerving.
Because, like, the whole idea of like,
I'm glad we didn't see her like beating her head on the pavement or anything after that.
But the idea that she's running along and it's her normal face, right?
Yeah.
But then we see the wig and it's like, no, that's not how she actually is. And then we finally see her face with all the makeup smeared and everything. That was just like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the lipstick all over. Just,
that's oh boy.
So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about these stories, about anime in general. You can get involved with the community there. There's a lot of fun stuff going on, and you can also talk with Jacob about his book.
Yes, my sci-fi novel Battle Lines is still available for order on Amazon. The link is in the description below, so go check it out. And if you do get it, make sure to leave a review to let people know what you think.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.